got my hands on the book that Kim Porter was writing to expose P. Diddy, which many believe Puffy then killed Kim, so the book wouldn't get released. And let me tell you something, the rumors were not some weird internet rumors that people started. The speculation came from her close friends. They believed that Puff killed Kim because she threatened to release this book. Some of the tapes had things I would never have expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys like... And there's something very disturbing in this book. Holy smokes. We'll get to it. Now, she died in 2018, so this is way before the raids. This is way before all the craziness that we've been seeing lately. We're going to go through this book so you don't have to read it. I went through it, and I picked out the if you want to call highlights. It's pretty disturbing, a lot of it. The last few pages reads like a thriller, and it's scary, but it's incredibly sad and made me say, holy shit. To give you a background of this book, Kim wrote it because she was trying to get away from Puffy, from P. Diddy. And when she threatened to expose it, ended up dying. And luckily, she had sent copies of it to her friends. So we're going to go through it, and there's some interesting things. And I want to tell you what, I've been following Puffy for whatever it is, 25 years or so, because I've always been a fan of him. And it's almost embarrassing saying that now because everything that's coming out. And I got to tell you, some of the stuff in this book made me go, wow. And real quick before we get into all the details, this is the thing. I've been following, I've been following forever. I've been a fan of him. We've always known he's a bad guy. And I think what's happening now, it's coming out and we're going, and I'm going, okay, I knew he was a bad guy. I didn't know he was this bad. And the thing about this book, because I'm very skeptical, I'm a skeptical person, but everything in this book coincides with everything I've known over the years and everything that's going on, and everything that we know publicly, and then some stuff that I didn't know, and stuff that pieces together pretty interesting, and it's pretty disturbing. And there's something very disturbing in this book. Holy smokes. We'll get to it. I think if you take away all the other charges, if this is true, this one little tidbit we'll get to, if that's true, that will, when this gets out, I'm surprised it hasn't got out already. This is gonna kind of shake up the music, the entertainment industry, and this alone would put Puff away for forever. And I got to tell you, and you can look at previous videos, I said I don't think Puff's going to do a whole lot of time. I think he's going to get off maybe 5 or 10 years and snitch on some other people, talk about some other people, and he'll save himself. But if this one part is true, this one little part alone is true, no, he's going to go away for a very long time. And it's not the death of Kim. That's not even what I'm talking about. It's something else. But let's get into the book. So again, the book's written by Kim, and she sent copies of it to her friends of hers, and one of her friends published it. I think it was like the day before Puffy was arrested, or the day after he was arrested. And what I'm going to do is I just went through and I just highlighted a couple things. And I'm not going to read the book. That'd be boring. But I'm going to just read a couple highlighted points that are the points. You get rid of all the fluff, and here's the hard-hitting points. And like I said, wait till the end of the video, because there's just a crazy charge, and then the wrap up of the book is just it's sad. It's really sad. And I can tell you this. It will make some people cry. I 100% assure that it will make some people cry hearing it. So, real quick, we'll go through. The book starts off, it says, regarding Kim's sudden death, this is the disclaimer of the book. And the mysterious illness of L.B. Sure and Jamie Foxx, evidence does exist. That points to foul play or poisoning. Now, poisoning is a thing that comes up multiple times in this book, and it seems to be a calling card of Puff, and and you'll be surprised at some of the things that kind of tie together. Okay, now this is in Kim's words. She says, he and Clive, that's Clive Davis, the big music industry executive. Now he's like 90 years old or something, but he was a big influence. He's right above Puff. He's kind of like how Puff got started. Now, real quick too, I'll add, a lot of people are saying now, well, it's because of Clive Davis that Puffy got all this money and this and that. I fully disagree with it. Maybe that had some influence, but do I think it's Puffy became successful, made a ton of money just because of Clive Davis? Not at all, because whether you like Puffy or not, he had a talent of, his talent, I think, is not being a super producer, being a super talented artist. His talent was finding the stars, Biggie, Craig Mack, Mace, French Montana. I mean, you name it. You could just keep going and going and going. And I'm missing many, I assure you. This is just off the top of my head. And he latches onto those people and rides them profitably, and then screws them over and takes all their money. But that's besides the point. So anyways, he and Clive would hang out a lot. But I didn't think anything of it. I mean, he was the boss, and he was doing things bigger than most people even dare to dream. Then it happened. I mean, okay, I was a little bit of a freak. I really enjoyed myself with my partner, and toys are one thing, but I never imagined having a man I was dating asking me to use a toy on him. Oh, I don't judge, but yikes. The first time, he said he just wanted an experiment, to try something new. I was grossed out, but he kept begging. He said it would only be this one time, and he was just curious. I was only 20 at the time. I said, what the hell? I hated it. He bled from it, and there was shit on it. Oh, Puffy! This just ruins every image I have of Puff over the last 25 years, especially growing up, bumping his music in my car. I feel like I don't want to listen to his music anymore. That's nasty. But anyways, I mean, you can close up the book right now and be like, all right, I've had enough. And I assure you, it gets worse. And I'm not talking about just what we read. I mean, it gets crazier. It gets crazier. Then he asked me to do it again. It was insane. Sean said, baby, I can't stop thinking about it. What the hell are you talking about? I responded. Sean continued, I just can't stop thinking about that night. It was amazing. Can you screw me one more time, please? I became infuriated. Why don't you go get Clive? He's the one screwing you, isn't he? Then Sean hit me. This was the first time, but he slapped me hard. Before I can find the words, he began to beg, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So she's saying they were together. And then he responded by being violent. And that's pretty crappy. And then that again, that's a thing that goes, I'm not even going to talk about the other times in the book where she talks about her abusing him, or him abusing her, like where he hit her, slapped her, threw her down, threatened her with violence, threatened her with weapons. Because I don't want to be repetitive in it, and it's messed up. But she does say he was great with Quincy. Quincy is, for those who don't know, Quincy is Kim's son with L.B. Sure. And if you don't know L.B. Sure was a big R&B singer in the 90s, and he almost died recently. And there's that's a whole nother story. Actually, we might do another video on that one, but that's a whole other story with L.B. Sure. But he's saying, if you hear a song, I can't sing. Why am I singing? I'm not even gonna try to sing. God, I should cut that out. Anyways, he was great with Quincy. That's her son. And to be honest, despite everything, I missed him. As we stood and walked away, I remember hearing myself saying, "Call me later. What the fuck's wrong with me?" That's what she said. Now, also, I just add too is throughout the book, she talks about how she regretted being with him, and she didn't know why she kept going back to him, and then later on, as it got deeper, she said that she was essentially trapped. And before people start criticizing her for being with them and staying with them and going back to them, that's how things are. Sometimes you can't control who you fall for, or who you love, or when people, this is the bigger thing, is when people manipulate you and P. Diddy is a big manipulator. She talks about it, and people have talked about it throughout the years, and people are talking about it now. And he's a big manipulator. So you can't blame someone for going back. I mean, that happens. Sometimes you think you want to think the best of people, and that's not always the case. Because most of us are mostly good people. We, of course, we're not perfect, but you think the best of people. You go into situations. You assume that people have their best intentions, but the people who are liars, who are wolves in sheep's clothing, those are the people that take advantage of other people, because most people just assume that people are doing their best or trying their best or saying the best thing or whatever it might be. But anyways, she said he also signed Mary J. Blige, and of course, when I found out he slept with her, we fought. He claimed it was a mistake, and my stupid ass took him back again. Sean asked me for a threesome with her. At first I was mad, but Mary was beautiful. It was our first threesome, and I loved it. Interesting. Okay, wow. I couldn't get the image out of my mind. I couldn't be with Sean for a while, but that wouldn't be the last time I saw Sean in a compromising position. And she was talking about him being with seeing him with another man, and again, that's another thing that's a constant thing in this book, is him being with other men. One day I found the vault where he kept all of his encounters with men. Yes, he kept a record of it, but that's for later, and that is sure for later, and that is sure for later. Holy shit, that's for later. We'll get to that. At this point, Sean was sleeping with all the power players, and everyone that wanted to do music wanted to be a bad boy. Bad Boys was his label. Sean wheeled and dealed in a way that could only be that would only have been unthinkable to many. He slept with the guys that really controlled the music to stay on top. When I met Tupac, Sean and I had an open relationship, and yes, I slept with Pac. Yes, I slept with Pac. So she slept with Tupac. Now she talked about how Puffy wanted, because obviously Puffy's with her, Pac was with her, and then she talked about how Puffy talked to Pac, like they were all together, and Diddy was proposing a threesome, and Pac wasn't having it, and I guess Pac got pretty ticked off and left, and that started their, according to Kim Porter, that started their rumblings, that started the big problems. Months passed with only tension between Puffy and Tupac. Sean sat across from Jimmy Henchman. Pac, don't leave that fucking studio alive. I don't think I was supposed to hear that. I continued as if I didn't. So Puffy and Jimmy are talking about getting Tupac, and she was there. She was at the table when they're talking about it. It was orchestrated, and Sean Puffy Combs was the orchestrator. And what she's talking about is the first time that Tupac got shot. When he got shot, I think I got shot like 5 times in a studio, but he didn't die. He survived, and but it was a brutal shooting. And even the rumors were that Puffy and some of his guys found Tupac after the shooting, because Tupac ended up in their studio, and they were like, kind of just left them. It's really disturbing. It's really messed up. Then she goes on to say, the last time he put hands on me, it was because I enjoyed Jamie Foxx too much. So she was with Jamie Foxx still. I mean, it's not fair. He wants to bring other men into the bedroom, but gets jealous when he does. So he was with Jamie Foxx. I want to put the book down and go take a shower. It's crazy, but it gets crazier. So good to it. We had a wild night. It was after one of Sean's infamous parties. Everyone was there, and not only did we have threesomes, but we also swapped partners. Our sex life was crazy, but I got to do things with Sean I would never have been able to do with a straight man. Sean cared about me, but it was becoming more and more obvious that he preferred men. Okay. And Sean happened to be coming out of the bedroom with X, that she's blocking out the name, and Will Smith. Okay. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by it. I don't think many people are that Will Smith mentioned in there. I don't think that's a shock at all. Sean smiled when he saw me. Good morning. Here at the orgies, he was very affectionate. Sean meaning Puffy, Diddy. He didn't have to pretend, but he couldn't walk straight. I knew how his ass felt literally. He was becoming more violent when he didn't get what he wanted. But, can I put the book down and go take a shower yet? Now, she implied that, now she goes in talking about when Biggie gets killed in L.A., and what she was saying is that Biggie and Pac were talking about starting a label together, and then Puff found out about it and he was pissed off. And then what happened is he's telling everyone, hey, if he's not going to be loyal to me, he's not going to be on my label, then I'm not protecting him. So what happens is, because he's not, so what she's saying is he essentially let Biggie get killed. And now also too, there's speculation that the hit that killed Biggie was actually meant for Diddy, was meant for Puffy. Here she's talking about that Puffy threatened her with a gun. So this is separate from the Biggie shooting, obviously. Now this is a point where Diddy's threatening Kim. And so he put the gun away, and then he told her, I would never shoot you. If I was going to kill you, no one will trace it to me. You know how many people I've had to take care of over the years? It would be quiet, something in your food or drink, something that will never get back to me. I wouldn't shoot you. Do you understand? And she said, he's a terrifying monster. And that's going to come back too in a minute. Next few days, he sent dozens of flowers. He didn't want me. He wanted me to keep his secret. I'm trapped. He has the authorities under his thumb. I can't go to them. So whether that was true or not, she felt that, and he was probably making threats to her that, hey, go to police. They're not going to do anything because I've got connections, and she'll be in trouble. She'll be done. She'll be taken out. And there's reason to believe that was probably true, because in that era, like for example, even in the there was a lot of corruption even with both the Biggie and Tupac killings because of the corruption in the police departments that people talked about. So it's not. I mean, maybe he was just saying that to her, making threats, but it could very well have been true. The death of Biggie shook the East Coast. It rocked me as well. Sean could have stopped it, meaning Diddy, obviously. Sean, and of course, I would assume everyone knows Sean is Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever. Okay. He was complicit in it. He was a contributor. He knew it was going to happen, and he didn't stop it. This was his friend. No, they were not nearly as close as Sean would make the public believe, but still, they were close. They were pals. And it's messed up because, and again, she talks about in the book that Diddy really capitalized on the death of Biggie, as we all know. But you know what makes it even more damning is she talked about how he was kind of bragging to people that, oh, we're going to make a ton of money off this East-West Coast war. After Big got killed, Biggie's mom came to Puffy and said, hey, you know what? Can you help me out? Can you give me some of the money that Biggie made? And Combs said, no, I'm not giving you any money. And then he went on to tell her that Biggie probably owed him money, meaning he owed the label money, and that the money wasn't recovered yet. And you know, Ms. Wallace knew it was bullshit, but there's nothing she can do. And then Puffy hid behind. He's saying, oh, there's lawyers and there's contracts, and I can't just let the money go. And it's all crap. And it just shows the character of Diddy, you know, of all the years. And all the years, you know, people have talked about, but I mean, it's shown that he screwed over tons of artists. So again, this isn't a big surprise. It's sad to read it, but it's not a big surprise. She goes on to say, I'm pregnant. So that's when she was, when she was pregnant with this kid. Because at this point, they didn't have kids together. It was Quincy, but that was her kid from I'll Be Sure, not with Puffy. Yes, he told me excitedly, we got to have a party. His excitement was contagious. I was getting really excited too. Yes, a gender reveal, and he cut me off. Yes, of course we're doing all that, but everyone's going to want to sleep with you right before you give birth. My heart sank in my chest. Everybody's going to want what? And wow, the woman that's having your kid, you want everyone to sleep with her? I mean, that's pretty disturbing, but it gets way more disturbing. We'll get to that in a second. But this is pretty disturbing too. I tried to see him through the tears streaming down my face. I couldn't believe the words coming out of his mouth. I tried to speak. Sean, he cut me off. I provided everything you could ever want. Do you want for anything? Sobbing, I replied, no, but he continued. This is the kind of thing I have to do in order to continue giving you this comfortable lifestyle, where you live in the lap of luxury, you get to be on TV shows and in the movies. She wrote about this. I didn't want to go into all this. It was just it's hard to talk about it. And she obviously was very hurt by all this. And she said, my child's going to have a good biblical name, a heavy Christian name. And of course, his name was Christian. And then she goes on to say, but Sean got to the point where he was incredibly abusive, and only his inner circle knew about it. The artists were all too afraid of him to say anything. He had gained so much power, no one would say anything. Puff Daddy was a kingpin. Now also keep in mind that throughout the years, and I guess it's like this with any label, but throughout the years, Puffy never had a core of artists that stayed with them. Like a lot of labels, go through artists. So I guess maybe it's no different. So when she's saying that the artist wouldn't speak up, it's because there's no artist that had any power. So if let's say Biggie would have survived and Biggie would have still been in his label, where Biggie had influence and power, someone like that can speak up, or Tupac could speak up, or someone like Jay-Z or someone else could speak up, but the people that were on his label were powerless. And she went on to talk about how she was auditioning for a movie, and she ended up sleeping with the movie producer. And Puffy found out, and he got really ticked off and threatened her, abused her, threw a fit. And this gets interesting. And of course, I wasn't cast for either movie. From what I understand, the producer died of pneumonia. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But when I tried dating someone else, they would end up dead from pneumonia. I knew Sean was behind it. This is not a coincidence. He gets jealous of a guy and they die of pneumonia. Sean has a vault where he keeps videotapes of all his conquests. I started sleeping with him again. After he falls asleep, he was starting to drink heavily. And that's another thing too, is there's been a lot of speculation that he got heavy into alcohol, and he got heavy into drugs, and it became a real serious thing for him. I would get into the vault and get a couple of the tapes, take them home, make copies, and swap them for the next set of tapes a few days later. It took weeks to get them all copied, and he never knew I had all of them. This was my way out. Some of the tapes had things I would never have expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys like Usher, Lil Bow Wow, and Justin Bieber. I would have never known. My God, is he grooming Quincy? This has to end. Holy shit. Now, this is the last chapter. It's two really short pages. I'm just gonna read it because I highlighted a couple things and I'm like, this is actually really sad, and this is gonna make some people cry. I assure you that. I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. It's really quick, but it's really moving. This is the final chapter of the book. Like I said, like 2 pages, 2 very short pages. Things were okay for a while. I started dating again. It was almost normal until I got serious with someone. Then my boyfriend died of pneumonia. I knew it was Sean again. That's when I decided to write this book. A few days ago, my home was burglarized. Someone broke in our house. I can't say the stupid word. Only laptops were stolen. I knew it was that bastard or his goons. Of course, I had a copy in the cloud that I was able to easily download here onto the new computer. As I continue to write now, so this is her writing, like this is her writing it as like she's writing a journal entry. As I continue to write now, I'll send this into the cloud as well. I will send out copies via email, and my Google Drive password will be attached so the missing chapters can be accessed. This book must get out. There are so many more chapters to add. This outline is a great start. So this book was just an outline, and that's crazy to think. This book was just an outline of what she was getting to. This book must get out. There's so many more chapters to add. The outline was a great start. I have to organize the rest of the chapters and add them in little by little. I plan on spending today working on exactly that, but I'm not feeling well today. Yikes. And it gets a little deeper here. Thank God the kids aren't here this weekend so I can rest. I called Kimura to cancel the tentative plans for a meetup. When I spoke to her, she said, "Girl, that doesn't sound like the flu. You want to get to the hospital." That didn't immediately alarm me. I just needed some rest. I told her and quickly got off the phone. But why can't I get my doctor? Why won't he pick up the phone? Oh no, I called Sean from my bedroom, where I'm laying in my bed. All I can think about was the kids. My babies are with this monster, the man that I now suspect having done this to me. Sean picked up with an air of superiority in his tone that let me know it was too late for me. He spoke confidently into the phone. Hello, I screamed at him. You bastard, I have your fucking children. What are you talking about? This kid's with me. The kids are with me. He replied with a mocking innocence. There's literally nothing I can do. I can only ask, did you ever love me? Instead of answering the question, he responded, the most important thing to me in this world is loyalty. I couldn't believe it. I had to ask even though I understood. What the fuck does that mean? With the same innocence, he mocked, Kim, is something wrong? He's going to continue this game to the bitter end. I asked one last time, how could you? Again, with the narcissism I had now come to despise, he responded, how could I? Do what? I gave you everything. You went to someone else. You left me just like everyone else did. You ask, how could I? How could I what? I yelled. Look what you did to everyone around you. There's only anger in his response. So you're saying everyone leaves because of how I am? Are you going to expose me? He had me burglarized. I knew it. I shouldn't have threatened him. I should have just published the book. I'm going to die like Heavy D, like Biggie, like Pac, like so many others, and it's because he is a monster, plain and simple. Before hanging up, I simply say, that's not the only copy, you fuck. Then I shoot out a group text. I let everyone know he's got me. Then I call 911. As I sit here waiting for the ambulance, I'm writing this chapter and praying that I make it to the hospital. I don't feel like writing anymore. I may not be around to see the print. It's okay. I'm sending it out. He won't get away with this. I will have my say, my final word. Sean Combs will get exposed, even if I lose my life doing it. I want the world, my kids have always been my most cherished possessions. I want the world to know, but more importantly, I want them to know. Wow, oh my God. Wow. Like that's, like that last part of her writing that, like she's writing that as the ambulance is coming. That's messed up. That's so crazy. I mean, I don't see how you can look at any other way, but that Diddy's an absolute monster, and that book was way crazier than I expected. I got to tell you, what I expected from the book, I expected it to just be like, kind of like, okay, we know all this stuff, it's just filler and not a big deal. I really was not expecting what I read. It's very disturbing.